Hi, I'm Royce with Viking Wax Press and the Alternative Football Network. Before I get into today's video, I wanted to thank everyone who has subscribed because with your help, I am now an official YouTube partner, which means I'll have access to some of their tools and things like super chat donations and monetization now available. I also want to recognize the Alternative Football Network who have helped my channel grow by plugging my content on their website and sharing out my posts through various social media channels. It's a great group of content creators helping each other grow to become successful, and I know that I wouldn't be this far along without them. For today's video, I'll be discussing the top 10 UFL running backs currently available to sign. To be eligible, each running back had to play on a USFL team last year, was unsigned as of February 14th, 2025, and be in the top 10 PFF rated among that group. I'll start with the highest PFF rated and go down from there. Anthony McFarland Jr. was injured for 5 out of the 10 regular season games last season, but during that time, his speed helped the Brahmas win enough games to get into the playoffs. Besides his elite speed, leading to a 3.88 per yard carry average, he also caught 15 balls for 207 yards out of the backfield, exceptional numbers for 5 games. If he wants to return to the UFL, he will immediately be competing for a starting spot on any of these 8 teams. DeVeon Smith had a very solid year for the Renegades last year as their starting running back, and his marked improvement in the last 5 games coincided with the team's win streak. He's got NFL size and certainly has the skills to start this year in the UFL, but the Renegades made a curious move when they signed ex-Brahma Kalen Balaj over the off-season. Kalen has a similar build and the ability to punch the ball across the goal line in this league. Are they planning to start Kalen Balaj and allow DeVeon to go elsewhere? I have a feeling that is not the case, and we'll see DeVeon re-signed with the Renegades between now and training camp in a couple weeks. Darius Victor is a spring pro football legend. He played for the New York Guardians of the XFL in 2020 and then exploded for the New Jersey Generals of the USFL, winning the USFL Offensive Player of the Year award in 2022. He brought back his thick thighs save lives trademark with him to the Showboats last year and sadly, like many Showboats, suffered behind an inconsistent offensive line. His per carry average dropped from 5.5 in 2023 to 3.69 last year. While 3.69 average is not terrible, he is capable of way more behind a better O-line. The Showboats seem to be going another direction this season, bringing in college standouts Jacob Cabody, Deneric Prince, and Dwayne McBride, along with ex-Vegas Viper DeAndre Torrey. That may be a sign that Darius might land in a different UFL city for training camp. I believe he still has the ability to make a UFL team and potentially start in the right offense. Wes Hills led the USFL in rushing yards in 2023 for my beloved New Orleans Breakers and was part of a nice 1-2 punch with Matt Colburn for the Panthers last year before his season was cut short by a nasty leg injury in Game 7. I wonder, could the Panthers have pushed past the Stallions in the playoffs if they had Wes available? In 7 games, basically splitting time with Colburn, Wes averaged 40 yards per game and above average 3.85 yards per carry. If he is able to return to form from his leg injury, he could start on any team outside of DC. Wes, we wish you best of luck on the quad rehab. We would love to see you back in the UFL. Morgan Ellison was the 11th best yardage gainer at the running back spot in the XFL in 2023 for the Seattle Sea Dragons, leading that team's running back core. He signed with the Brahmas after 3 games last year and showed what he is capable of when they fed him the rock in Game 5, gaining 84 yards on 7 carries for a 12-yard average that game. Morgan, Anthony McFarland, and John Lovett made for an amazing backfield that helped propel the Brahmas to the championship game last year. If the Brahmas can manage to bring back McFarland and Morgan Ellison to go along with the already signed John Lovett, they have a good chance to get back to the big game in 2025. Originally drafted by the Seattle Sea Dragons out of Wyoming, Titus Swen skipped the 2023 season in hopes that he would make it with the Indianapolis Colts, but that didn't pan out. He signed with the Showboats after he was overlooked in the dispersal draft that happened when the USFL and XFL merged. He performed well in the Showboats camp in 2024 and earned the start in Game 1 over Darius Victor. After a rough start, the Boats moved him over to be their primary kick returner, where he proved his value, putting up 895 kick return yards and an average return of 26 yards. It'll be tough for him to break into a lineup, but if any team is looking for a good kick returner, they should have Titus on the list. Small and speedy Pooka Williams Jr. is another return specialist who spent 2023 and the beginning of 2024 with the DC Defenders and spent the last 4 games with the Brahmas after the Defenders released him. Like Titus Swen, Pooka also averaged 26 yards per kick return, but he's a much smaller guy. With his size and speed, he may be a better fit for the wide fields of the CFL or the quick pace of one of the indoor leagues. Ex-New York Giant Wayne Gallman began 2024 as the Battlehawks' starting running back, but it didn't take long before he was supplanted by Jacob Sailors. He was hit and miss up and down during the season and ended up with a moderate 3.5 yards per carry. The Battlehawks might bring him into camp to challenge Jarvian Howard, who they signed in December, along with re-signed Battlehawk running backs Jacob Sailors, Mateo Durant, and Kevin Latulis. Mark Thompson started last year on the IR, and when he returned in Game 4, he was only given 10 carries or more in only 3 games. Keep in mind that Thompson won the USFL's Offensive Player of the Year award the previous year. The Roughnecks chose to start him only once in 7 games when he was active. So why the lack of starts? Why the lack of carries? Was he not healthy yet? He said he was ready, so I don't think that's the reason. Measured against his 2022 average of 12 carries per game and 4.1 per carry average, and his 2023 average of 17 rushes per game with an 8.5 yard rush per average, you can see why his production dropped off last year, because he was vastly underutilized. I know there are varying opinions about his personality, social media instigator, high drama distraction. However, one thing is mathematically true. When Mark Thompson gets the ball on a regular basis, he produces at an elevated all-pro level. So, the Roughnecks give him 1 start in 7 games for the previous year's Offensive Player of the Year? Come on, you're not even trying to win at that point. I know it's not the popular opinion, but I personally hope Mark gets a shot on a different team who hands him the ball 15 plus times a game and we see him rise again to a top 3 running back in the UFL. Lastly, Leddie Brown played for the Renegades in 23 and 24, serving in a relief role for DeVeon Smith before he went down with an injury in Game 7 of last year. He is a serviceable backup and has the ability to challenge someone for a running back roster spot if a team is willing to bring him in. But if the UFL trends continue, they give newcomers a new chance, and Leddie Brown struggled in yards per carry last year, so don't be too surprised if you don't see him on a training camp roster when March rolls around. Here's an interesting fact. The top 3 rushers of the 2023 USFL made this list, as did 3 of the top 13 XFL 2023 running backs. In a nutshell, there is some serious talent still available, and I expect to see some of these guys in UFL training camps this March. That wraps up my video recapping the top 10 unsigned UFL running backs. Tell me in the comments which one of these guys you would want to see on your team. I'll be covering the Memphis Showboats this season for the Alternative Football Network. Follow me on Facebook and X for even more coverage. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and be sure to check out my playlists for more UFL and helmet ranking videos. This is Royce with Viking Wax Press and the Alternative Football Network. God is good, y'all. Take care.